Listener's note, warning, this show is loaded with gist so powerful, it might just push you into a relationship and straight down the aisle. If you're not ready to hear wedding bells and say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, listen at your own risk. Edgar doesn't lie. Check Edgar out. Okay. Some weeks ago, I was reading a book about building wealth and creating generational income. And there was one line that hit me differently. It said, "The words we say can do more damage than silence ever could, leaving scars that linger longer after the moment has passed." Let me say that again. The words we say can do more damage than silence ever could, leaving scars that linger long after the moment has passed. I was like, wow. There have been so many moments in my life where I wished I had just stayed silent and walked away. But sometimes, emotions get the best of you. You speak without realizing the weight of the words, and in the heat of the moment, the words keep coming out, and just like that, you have said things you don't really mean. Sadly, sometimes, no amount of "I am sorry" or "I am truly, truly sorry" can heal the wounds we have caused with our words. Some people stay broken forever. No matter the number of hugs, apologies, gifts, or even promises, some wounds remain unhealed. The holes created remain holes. They are covered for some time, but when the wind blows, it opens up the wound. It takes a miracle to completely heal from that kind of pain. This is not a joke, I'm serious. I remember when my class teacher in GS3 once asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. With all the excitement in my heart, I looked her in the eyes and said, one day, I'll be the best lawyer in the country. She stared at me like I was dirt and laughed, saying, You, a lawyer, not in my lifetime. You are too useless. The class went silent and I sank into my chair. And every day since GS3, think about this, guys, GS3, till this very moment when you can hear my voice, that moment never left me. Even though I forgave Mrs. Brown when she later apologized and claimed that she was joking, I have learned that it takes two people to share a joke. Two people. Years later, I can still feel the sting of that moment. I realize now that I could have just stayed silent and maybe, just maybe, I would have become a lawyer and not a random guy telling different stories on podcasts for laughs. Or maybe I would have just moved on to show her I was right and watch her die. But I didn't. Instead, I drowned, and I have never quite forgiven myself for speaking up that day. I grew up with parents and siblings who do not use vulgar words or curse words. Do you think it's a coincidence I don't use vulgar words on this podcast? I have seen how powerful words can be. You can hate Mrs. Brown, but I am not innocent too. I once jokingly called someone ugly, not knowing how deeply it would affect him. For 3 years, he struggled with that label. 3 years. Twice, he even tried to take his own life. His parent never called him that, so who the hell am I? He was already going through something, and my words were the final push. Some people take years to heal, while some people never do. I know a lady who started using drugs because her own mother called her worthless. Now her mother is paying millions of naira to treat her daughter and gain back the innocence she threw away with one word. Our words are powerful. Our words have immense power. And today's story is about a time I truly wished I had kept my mouth shut. Edgar doesn't lie. Check. This is a Check Edgar production. A Check Edgar production. This is for the single guys and the single ladies. Edgar doesn't lie. Why am I still single?
me. I told my guys how things can be. When I fall in love, I fall for real. I know you want me, don't waste my time. I want a girl that is set and fine. I'm going crazy, so please be mine. God, please, why?
Love is a complex fabric, woven with threads of joy, pain, and everything in between. It shapes us, teaches us, and sometimes it leaves us with scars that reminds us of what we have lost. Today, I want to share a story about a girl named Olamide, a lady whose innocence amazes me. I have many reasons to hesitate in telling this story, but I feel compelled to share it. Someone out there needs to hear it. I have never wished any of my exes dead. Why? Why? Perhaps I would wish them to be a bit humbled, maybe even blinded by the truth, but not dead. Why? Yes, some lovers have hurt me in the past, and I have hurt people too. You serve me breakfast, I order lunch and dinner for you. Crazy things have happened. I have cried over breakups, and I've also seen other people weep because of my actions. Life is a crazy full circle, and love is a complex fabric you have to put on with a smile. Take off the fabric and society sees you as heartless. You must love someone or something or even yourself. Do you know some people don't love themselves? It's disheartening to think that some people struggle to love themselves. Anyway, wishing someone death in this world is extreme. Just because we didn't work out doesn't mean you're not perfect for someone else. We all have types, specs, and values. Two wonderful people may not necessarily form a perfect relationship. Sure, if our values align, then there is a chance. But if you love dogs and I dislike animals, or if I enjoy chatting with my exes and you find that unacceptable, then certainly there is a problem somewhere. And if we can't fix it, then it's fine. No hard feelings. I have met women and I've dated a few, but of all the women I know, Olamide is the only lady I can say with my small chest that I can call perfect. She is beautiful in and out, and always smiling and ready to share her smile with you. When Olamide enters a room, she brings happiness with her. Her favorite phrases,
"Are you okay?
and
Smile now."
echoes with genuine concern. She has this incredible ability to stay by your side, singing songs and tickling you until laughter spills out uncontrollably. So how did I meet Olamide? And what mistake did I make along the way? The story I'm about to share may stir some emotions. This isn't a light-hearted tale. It's an apology. A heartfelt message to a friend I truly care for. And as for the questions of why am I still single, well, that will be revealed after the short break. Promo. Tired of waking up in the morning to a lonely bed? Has your pillow been giving you the silent treatment? Are you tired of rewatching old romantic movies, wondering when it would finally be your turn to fall in love while walking in the rain hand in hand with your soulmate? Well, we have absolutely nothing to solve your problem. In fact, I'm here to offer you nothing. No miracle cure, no magic potion, nothing. Not even a free t-shirt. Just the smooth, buttery sound of my voice. But if you have a business, a product, or even a secret family recipe for jollof rice that you think the world needs to know about, here is your chance. Until I get real sponsors and actual products, you will have to endure these silly ads. But you can change that. Yes, you can be the hero of this podcast by sponsoring an episode. Send me an email to edgar@checkedgar.com if you want to hear your business being advertised in the smoothest, most handsomely voiced way possible. Until then, well, brace yourself. Checkmates, this is what you get. Back in my days as a student at the University of Lagos, something wild and unexpected happened. My friend Steve Chooks had an idea so brilliant that it almost felt dangerous. He created a group called the No Chill Zone. It wasn't your average WhatsApp group, no. It was a carefully selected crew of about 20 students from different universities in Nigeria. Unilag, Ife, UI, LASU, you name it. So many mad and amazing people were in that group. Trust me, some of your favorite celebrities and influencers today were in it. It was wild. Just when you think one person is the height of madness, they add another tall mad person. It was crazy, guys. It was crazy. But this wasn't just a chat group. It was a movement. Every Friday evening, without fail, Steve's place became the ultimate destination. Forget the usual TGIFs. This was on another level. Games, drinks, brownies, wild dancing, kissing, crazy romance, and a vibe that made every member feel like they were part of something exclusive. The kind of fun that kept you at night thinking, I cannot miss next week, lie. There was one catch though, a strict, unbreakable rule. No dating within the group. Steve, in his infinite wisdom, knew that as soon as feelings started mixing with fun, the whole thing would crumble. He warned us, relationships will ruin this. No private hangouts. And as if Steve had seen it coming in a dream, you know how Nigerians can be now. Tell them not to do something, and that's exactly when their body starts itching to do that thing.
I know the hear word. I get coconut head. I get big ear. But I know the hear word.
What was supposed to be innocent fun turned into private chats, secret meetings, and secret flings. People were doing things on a low. Now, I won't lie. At first, I followed the rules. But then, the day Olamide joined that group, everything changed. I just knew I was going to break the rules sometime in the future. How can one human being be fine like two people? I did not even care about the no-chill zone. We can chill in our different zones. Olamide came with her small fancy black car with the leather sign on it. A fine girl with fine car. Madu. Olamide wasn't like the others. She was a breath of fresh air. She seemed so innocent, so delicate. Olamide should be spending her Fridays in the library or even in church, watching the Passion of Christ. Not here with people who had no passion for Christ. She didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't dance like the rest of us, and had zero interest in anything that could be considered reckless. All she did was smile, laugh at our crazy jokes, and serve small chops and drinks like someone sharing communion. You know all those girls that won't do anything bad, but if you need someone to cheer you up when you are doing nonsense, she is the one. Her presence was magnetic. No matter how wild the Friday night got, Olamide remained the sweetest, most grounded person in the room. And because of how she behaved, I just liked her. Maybe it was the little alcohol I took, but the spirit was saying, she's your wife. Talk to her. Talk to her. Go. Me too, I went to talk to her. Only God knows the kind of spirit that was advising me. Maybe it was a methylated spirit or jinn. I don't even know. All I remember is that he told me to go. I went to sit next to her. She was reading one Harry Potter novel like that. I think it was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire or something. I don't remember. Now, to be honest, I don't like reading novels. Anything too long, count me out. If it is more than 2 paragraphs, I am not interested. But that day, you know now, I had to form like one smart literature icon. As she was reading, I asked my first question. Sorry to disturb you, but is that Harry Potter? Like I didn't see the book. She looked at me for a second and said,
Yes, it is. Do you read J.K. Rowling's novels?
Now, you have to understand something. I did not even know who J.K. Rowling was. But I knew that saying no would affect the way she sees me. So I said, yes. She now asked me,
Oh, that's interesting. Which is your favorite?
what do you think I would say? I said everything. I love everything. She started laughing. And she said,
You must be a real fan then.
I started nodding my head like an agama lizard. Like play. I don't even know how I told her I have a library in my father's house with over 150 novels. She was so excited. She asked for my number and begged me to bring some books for her. If you see the way I was raising my shoulder in pride, you would think that I was J.K. Rowling's. After a while, the literature conversation turned into something deeper. She told me about her childhood and how she grew up in a quiet, close family that valued education. She asked me what I was studying and why I chose Unilag. If you see the way I was lying just to impress this girl, guys, the devil they learn. I told her I was one of the highest during JAMB and that I got 388. That the different universities were just begging me to come to their own school. They were begging me to come and study law, begging me. But I now chose creative art because my dad had offended me and I wanted to just punish my dad. She was so emotional. She wanted to know about my relationship with my dad. Me that I was just talking with alcohol in my head. I was pouring out the story like it was African magic epic. Every Friday was an opportunity to lie about my father and Harry Potter. I went to read the summary online and share it like I read it a while back. If she asks a question and I do not know it, I will just simply laugh and say, it's been a long time, a very, very long time. I can't remember. So many books in my head. The two of us, we just laugh and move on. That was how she now started sending books upon books on WhatsApp. I said, God, which kind of wahala is this? As she was sending them, I was reading summary. She would send, I'll read summary. She would send, I'll read summary. She liked how fast I read. I even lied. God. I even lied that when I was 9, I was awarded the fastest reader in Nigeria. This girl was eating every lie, licking her plates. That time, I was not born again, no. I was not born again. That time, Edgar can lie. It's not Edgar doesn't lie. Edgar can lie. Shy. One evening, after another week of our long intellectual WhatsApp chats and family discussions, she dropped a bombshell. She said,
So, when are you inviting me to your house?
She asked with a playful tone, but I could tell that she was serious. I froze for a second. Was she actually interested in visiting me? We weren't supposed to cross that line. Steve's rule just flashed in my head again. No dating, no personal visits. But I was already too far in. So I took a deep breath and I just replied, how about this weekend? Now, at the time, I was living in one Face Me I Slap You apartment somewhere in Shomolu. That place was terrible. One room, no kitchen, no bedroom. If you want to have your bath or use the toilet, you have to use the general bathroom. And as you are bathing, you are dodging bacteria. I always used the school toilet before coming home. Anyway, when she said she was coming, I had to beg my roommate fella to give me some space. Then I called one lady who was living in the area to help me come and clean the house. I bought a new bed sheet and an extra pillow because I and fella were sharing one pillow at the time. And it was first person to sleep that takes it. I made sure the place was sparkling clean. My prayer was that she did not ask for the toilet or bedroom when she came. When she arrived that Saturday, she didn't complain about anything. She looked around and told me she liked the painting on the wall. We watched movies on my laptop while relaxing on my bed. As we were on the bed, I don't even know how it happened. Clean your dirty mind, clean your dirty mind. We just held hands and made eye contact. It was so warm and cool at the same time. After a while, I ordered something for us and we ate. Before she left my house that evening, she said,
Thank you, Edgar, for inviting me. I really enjoyed my time here.
I am glad you came, I replied. She now asked if she could use the bathroom. Hey, I had to take her to my friend's house down the road. It was so embarrassing. But she didn't complain. She understood my situation and told me it will be all right. I just felt very safe around her. She wasn't after my money or anything. She just genuinely liked my company. As time went on, my feelings for Olamide grew stronger. Our conversations became more personal and more frequent. She was no longer just a member of the no-chill zone, no longer just the girl who loved literature and brought peace to our chaotic Fridays. She had become someone I couldn't stop thinking about. Every time we spoke, I found myself getting lost in her voice, her ideas, her laughter. But I was stuck in a dilemma. Do I ask her out? Or do I respect the rules of the group? I didn't want to ruin what we had, what made her so special. But the more I tried to convince myself to stay quiet, the harder it became. So one evening, I invited her to Unilag. I told her there was a stage play happening at my department and that she would love it. So she came to see it. After the play, we took a walk to the lagoon front to relax and talk about our day and the stage play. As we're talking, I was barely listening. My mind was consumed by what I was about to say. Finally, I couldn't hold it any longer. I told her, Olamide, there is something I've been meaning to tell you for a while now. She looked at me. Her expression was calm but curious.
Are you okay? What is it?
I took a deep breath and I summoned all the eba I'd eaten the night before. I have feelings for you. I've tried to ignore them. I've tried to just be your friend, but it's impossible. I like you, Olamide, more than just a friend. And just like Harry Potter, I want to be your wand. The words were out. There was no taking them back. My heart pounded as I waited for a response. But instead of an immediate answer, there was silence. Her face remained unreadable. I could feel the tension hanging in the air between us.
Edgar.
She started slowly.
I don't know what to say. I didn't expect this. We both know what this could mean for the group. I'm not sure if it's a good idea.
Mess up. It wasn't the answer I hoped for, but I couldn't blame her. She was right. Dating within the group would be complicated. It could ruin the friendship we had built, and everything Steve had warned about seemed more real now than ever. I nodded my head, and we changed the conversation back to the stage play we just saw. We continued chatting as friends and hanging out at Steve's place on Friday. We were mature about it until one day, she sent me a message. Can we talk? Yay! Now I was confused. 80% of the time when a woman says, can we talk? Just know you're in serious trouble. You will talk, but you won't say anything. Your role in the talk is just to listen as she talks. We met at Unilag again, but this time in my department. This time, it felt more serious. After a few moments of awkward silence, she turned to me and spoke.
Edgar.
She began, her voice soft but steady.
I've been thinking a lot about what you said. It wasn't easy for me to process, but the truth is, I feel the same way.
Wait, we'll be right back after a quick break.
Chapter 1. Careful what you wish for.
Once upon a time, there was a princess named Ayla who lived in a faraway kingdom called the Satisfied Land. There was a lot of sunshine in this little kingdom until exactly 4:14 p.m. each afternoon, when it would start to rain. It rained for exactly 23 seconds and then stopped. After this, a rainbow would appear over the glassy lake that engulfed the center of the country, turning it into a mirror and making the rainbow an
Momentous, a tale of toil and triumph.
I stopped walking and looked at her, hardly believing what I was hearing.
I didn't want to admit it because I was scared.
She continued.
Scared of what it could mean for us, for the group. But I realized I don't want to pretend anymore either.
My heart stopped for like a minute. You needed to see the way my heart was dancing. Ah, shocky, ah, shocky, ah, shocky, ah, inside. I was excited, but I was forming calm on the outside. After weeks of uncertainty and thinking I had lost my chance, she finally said the words I was hoping to hear. She was forming hard, girl.
I like you a lot. I don't know if this is love, but I know there is something.
I was just smiling. I did not say anything, no. I was just smiling. We hugged, and I went to my house to dance my shoki outside. Ah, shoki, ah, shoki, ah, shoki, ah, shoki. Once Olamide and I finally admitted our feelings to each other, things just naturally clicked. Again, we kept our relationship on a low. We didn't rush anything though. In fact, Olamide had this rule that she was very clear about.
Until you're sure it's love and you officially ask me to be your girlfriend, we are not a thing.
She said it with such seriousness that I couldn't help but laugh. But I knew that she meant it. And let me tell you, those weeks in relationship limbo were some of the funniest, most unforgettable moments we shared. I remember one afternoon, we decided to grab suya from one of the best suya spots in Yaba. Now, if you know suya joint, you know the struggle of waiting while the aroma of the grilled beef is torturing your senses. Olamide, in her typical sweet but savage way, kept teasing me the whole time.
You can't even handle waiting for suya, Edgar.
She laughed.
How are you supposed to handle asking me out officially?
I rolled my eyes, but I couldn't help laughing. Are you comparing our relationship to suya now? She raised an eyebrow, pretended to think about it, and said,
Well, one is spicy, tempting and irresistible. The other is suya.
I was just shaking my head like, this one is not even serious at all. Our outings were always an adventure. One time we went to the movies and it ended up being a terrible Nollywood film. It was so bad that we enjoyed it. Halfway through, Olamide leaned over to me and whispered,
I think I could write a better script in my sleep.
I started laughing so loud, the guy in front of us turned around and gave me the bombastic side eye. We would go for ice cream at a little spot in Surulere, and she would order the most random combinations of flavor, pineapples and chocolates. I mean, who does that? I'll tease her about her weird choices, and she would just shrug.
I like experimenting. Maybe if you ask me out officially, you'd understand me better.
We went to the beach once, and it was one of those chaotic Lagos beach days. There was loud music blasting from every corner, horses running past, and random children rapping for money. Just as we were about to sit down, a huge wave came out of nowhere and soaked both of us. The look on Olamide's face was priceless. I was laughing so hard, I could barely stand.
So you won't ask me out, but you will let me drown with you,
she said, dripping wet, still managing to crack a joke. All her jokes were about me asking her out. I just felt like it wasn't time. It wasn't just the right time. As much as we shared laughter and unforgettable moments, relationships have a way of adding sand to your gari. Olamide and I were no different. What we had was special, but it wasn't perfect. And one evening, everything came crashing down. It started like any other visit to my apartment. We were hanging out, watching a movie on my laptop, and suddenly, I received a message from a friend of mine. She was just checking in on me and ended her message with, "I love you." Now, that "I love you" there was not anything deep. It was our way of chatting. It was harmless and had no meaning at all. So I wrote back, "I love you too." Olamide saw it. Her attitude just changed. First, she said she wasn't interested in the movie anymore. I was surprised, like, she was enjoying it some minutes ago. Suddenly, she turned aggressively at me and asked,
Edgar, do you love me?
Before I could even answer, she said,
You have never said you love me before. Why are you wasting my time?
I was so confused. I asked her where that was coming from. She didn't respond. Instead, she asked me who the lady was. I mentioned that this lady was my friend, and Olamide called me a liar. She kept increasing her voice and started complaining about how I never really cared about her, but only myself. Everything was just confusing me. What are you talking about?
Oh, please. You're always so busy with your life, Edgar. You never make out time for the things that matter to me.
Her words stung. I felt my temper rising. And before I knew it, we were arguing, like really arguing. Our voices got louder, our words harsher. Every frustration, every insecurity, every issue we had never addressed came out pouring like a tap had broken. You think I don't care? I snapped. I've always been there for you. I'm doing my best, Olamide. What more do you want?
I want you to stop being so selfish.
She fired back.
You act like everything revolves around you. It's always you. What about me?
I could feel the anger boiling over. My heart was racing, and the room suddenly felt too small, too hot. We were both saying things we didn't mean, things we couldn't even take back. And then, in the heat of the moment, she crossed a line.
And maybe it's not just you.
She spat.
Maybe it's how you were raised. You don't respect your father, and your mother didn't teach you anything about how to treat people.
That was it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I love my parents more than anything, and hearing Olamide disrespect them pushed me over the edge. Get out. My voice was vibrating. Just leave my house. She looked at me, her eyes wide with shock, but I wasn't done. And while you're at it, go and die for all I care. Those words were out before I could stop them. They hung in the air between us, heavy. I didn't mean them, but they felt final. Olamide didn't say anything. She just stared at me, hot flashing across her face. And without any word, she grabbed her things and stormed out of my apartment. She entered her ugly black car and zoomed off. I watched her leave. I was too angry to go after her. Minutes passed, hours. I paced around my apartment, replaying the argument in my head. My anger slowly giving way to guilt. I knew I shouldn't have let it get that far. I knew I really messed up, but I had no idea how bad things would get. Later that night, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't even recognize, so I almost didn't pick up, but something told me to just answer. When I did, it was Olamide's sister on the other end, and her voice was shaking.
Edgar, Olamide.
She said. Her words came out in a rush.
She's been in an accident.
My heart stopped. What? What do you mean an accident? I asked, my voice trembling as panic set in.
I don't know. She got hit by a car.
There was a long, painful pause before she continued, her voice breaking.
She's at the hospital.
I couldn't breathe. My mind was racing, guilt and fear crashing over me like a wave. The last thing I had said to her, the last words she heard from me were filled with anger. Now she was fighting for her life. I tried calling her back, but no one picked my call. 3 days later, a member of the No Chill Zone posted that Olamide had died in the group. Everything in my world stopped. It was as if time froze. I didn't want to believe it. Couldn't let it sink in. But reality hit me hard the day I went to visit her parents. I had no idea how I would face them. The guilt weighed so heavy on my chest that every step felt like I was walking into a battlefield, except this time, there were no enemies, just heartbreak. I wasn't alone though. Some of her friends and the No Chill Zone members came with me. Steve Chooks was even there. It felt strange having them there, like this was all a bad dream, that we were still part of the same group. But now, the usual laughter and banter were gone. All that was left was silence, grief, and the unbearable weight of what had happened. When we arrived at her family's home, everything inside me wanted to turn around and run. I couldn't do it. I didn't know what to say or how to even begin to apologize for my role in the argument that led to her storming out that night. But I owed it to her family, to be there. Her mother was the first to greet us, eyes swollen and red from crying. I could see it immediately. How much she looked like Olamide. It made my heart drop to my stomach. Her father just sat quietly in the corner, staring into nothing like he's lost his entire world. And maybe he did. I walked in, trying to find the words, but nothing came out. I stood there feeling like the ground would crumble beneath me. Her mother looked at me, and I could see it in her eyes. She knew. She knew about the argument. I had this overwhelming feeling of shame and guilt, but she didn't say anything about it. She just held my hand. Her grip was tight and said,
She loved you, Edgar.
Those words broke me. I wanted to scream, to tell her how sorry I was. How much I wish I could take back the last conversation. But all I could do was nod. As the tears started to fall, I cried, standing there in front of her family with the No Chill Zone crew behind me. Even they were silent. There was no chill left in us, no jokes, no laughter, just pain. The days leading up to her funeral were a blur. I barely ate and barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her smile, her laugh. The way she used to tease me about not asking her out officially. Now I would never get the chance to ask her anything again. At her funeral, I couldn't bring myself to speak. I stood there in the crowd, surrounded by her family, friends, and people from the group. It was surreal, like none of this was real. I watched as they lowered her to the ground, and that was when it truly hit me, that Olamide was gone. And the last words she heard from me were full of anger. I've had sleepless nights replaying the argument over and over in my head, wondering if she'll still be here, if I hadn't told her to leave, if I hadn't said some cruel, unforgivable words. Would things be different? Could I have stopped her from leaving? It's the kind of guilt that never really goes away, It just lingers. Sometimes in the background, sometimes right there in front of you. Grief became my constant companion after that. It consumed me. Some days, it felt like I couldn't breathe. I don't even know how to cope, how to keep going. The No Chill Zone crew tried to help, but even they didn't know what to say. Steve would call and check in on me, but there were no words that could make any of it better. I learned something the hard way. Words are powerful. They can build people up or they can tear down in an instant. We throw words around so carelessly sometimes, especially in the moment of anger or frustration. But those words stick. They linger in the hearts of the people you say them to, and sometimes, just like Olamide, they are the last things they will ever hear from us. I wish I could go back and change that moment. I wish I had told her I loved her, that I was sorry, that we could work things out. But I can't. What I can do is share the story and hope others will learn from my mistake. I will never forget Olamide. I will never forget the lesson she taught me without even knowing it. Love deeply, forgive easily, and most importantly, choose your words wisely, because you never know when they'll be your last. Olamide, if you are listening, I want you to know that I am sorry. I did not mean those words, and I love you. I hope this makes you smile. See you on the other side. KSMBG. Thank you.
And that wraps another episode of Why Am I Still Single? Now, before you go, I think it's important I say this. If you are led by your spirit to date me, if the angels have been showing my face to you in the dream as this is the one for you, this is the one for you, don't let me waste my time creating another episode of this podcast. Just email me at edgar@checkedgar.com and tell me why I should date you. I will set up a date, pay for everything, and of course, who knows, it just might be you. Until next week, I still remain your desperate handsome single Pringle, Check Edgar. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with 2 people. Don't be selfish with the podcast. I'll give you some time while you go and share. Click the link, share. I'm waiting for you guys. I'm waiting for you guys. You guys can do it now. Share with just 2 people. 2 people. Those 2 people will bring 2 people. 2 people will not bring 2 people. 2 people will bring up 2 people. All right? All right. Thanks a lot, guys. See you guys next week, Friday. Remember, we are giving out great stuff on the 10th episode. Yes. All right, guys. Edgar doesn't lie. Check Edgar out. Bye-bye.